What's up, everyone? Welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. In today's video, we got something a little bit different. I am working on a 2016 Kia Sorento. It is having some issues with the sway bar end links. One of them is loose, so I'm going to replace the set. And also the valve cover is leaking oil, and so I'm going to replace that. I have already removed one of the sway bar end links to verify that that was actually the problem. I can feel a little bit of play in it. It is quite loose, both of them are. And I've also verified that we do have a leaky valve cover gasket. So the dealership quoted some outrageous price. They wanted over $900 for replacing the valve cover gasket and several $100s for the sway bar end link replacement as well. I am definitely not an automotive mechanic, but one of the things that I've learned from working on vehicles over the years is that you are best off to do yourself a favor before you get started. Take a little bit of time and spend a few dollars, go to a car wash, wash off the vehicle, and then spend a little bit extra time cleaning the area that you're actually going to be working on. Of course, if that is possible. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wash the whole vehicle down, and then I'm going to spend some time trying to wash in around the front suspension, and most importantly, I am going to wash out the engine bay very well. This is not just important because it's going to keep me cleaner, but also I don't want any debris or crud falling inside of the engine once I remove the valve cover. So I'm going to take extra care and clean out that area very well. I've got the hood open to let it dry off and cool off a little bit because I did drive it around a little bit on my way here to try to dry it off. So what I'm going to do first is change the sway bar end links, but before I actually tear into it, I'm going to go get the sway bar end links and actually open the package because I haven't looked at them to see if they're the right ones yet. And with my luck, they're probably not. And because I know somebody is going to ask, I got these parts from Rock Auto, not affiliated in any way, but I do get a fair amount of stuff from them. They have a really quick delivery time and a really reasonable price, and they do have different options. They had cheaper ones than these, a few dollars less. I decided to go with these ones because these are about a quarter of the price that I would have paid for them at the auto parts store locally, and they are a decent brand. Cool, it's the same length, and oh yeah, these ones, nice and stiff, nice and tight. Let's get them put on. I don't live in the best neighborhood, but can you guys please tell me which one of you lives in a neighborhood so sketchy that people are stealing wheels off of Kias? Kia Sorento with wheel locks, all that's doing is making my life harder. Any thief can go and get one of these. If you're stealing wheels, you can easily find one of these. I'm going to try to break this free with the impact gun just because, well, if I can break free with the impact gun, it'll make my life a whole lot easier. I am going to spray some WD-40 on it as well. Spray this one off. There we go. This is probably not going to work very well because it's just going to spin free, but we'll give it a go. All right, it broke it free, which might have been the hardest part. So the end of the sway bar link quite conveniently has an 8mm hex on it, so you can hold that to actually tighten up the sway bar nut. Alright, I should probably loosen off the lower one now because it's going to be the tricky one, if anything. Alright, I'm going to get my lead hammer. Oh, that was easy. The lead hammer made it easy. Alright, this nut spins right out. Right off, rather. Can we get this one to do the same? Let's see. Now that it's a bit looser, maybe we can. Nice. Beautiful. That was super easy. I'm using the axle as a fulcrum. I have a pry bar against the lower joint, and I just need to pull down on it. It's not going to take a whole lot of force. What I need to do is pry down on the sway bar and then push on this, and it'll pop right out. Just like that. This one isn't nearly as bad as the other side. In fact, this one probably could have been left and not replaced. But if you're going to do something like this, these were $20 a piece from Rock Auto. It is worth just changing them both out instead of having to change the other one out 3 months from now or even a year from now. The new sway bar end link is ready to go in. Put it in the bottom. That's not going to go in like that, so once again we'll pry down on the sway bar till this lines up. Push it in place just like so, and put the nut on. Can't get the gun in on the bottom one, unfortunately, so I'll have to use a wrench. Of course, torque to the manufacturer's specifications, as with everything. $85 foot-pounds for these. Yours might be different. There you have it, folks. 2 sway bar end links replaced on this 2016 Kia Sorento. If you came here just to see this, well, thanks for hanging out, and hopefully I see you again in another video. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, then be sure to subscribe, and also be sure to leave a like on the video. Now, let's get into the valve cover gasket replacement. I thought I would jump in here to tell you guys a couple of little details. First of all, this is incredibly hard to film some of this stuff. The locations of the bolts are, yeah, you just can't see them. You have to just feel for them, and it is impossible to film. Also, this was my first time doing this, and so I didn't do it in exactly the right order. So I used a little bit of creative editing, or I will be doing a little bit of creative editing to try to make things in the order how you should be doing it if you take your valve cover off. Let's get into it. When I was at the car wash cleaning out the engine bay, I did remove the engine cover, so I've already got that removed, as well as the foam silencer thing that goes on over the high pressure fuel pump. That sets on here something like that. It's pretty obvious how to get it off, so I'm not going to put it on just to show you guys how to get it off. It simply pulls off. You need to kind of wiggle this hose out of the way. So I'm just going to set it over here, and we will put that on after. Now I got to start pulling pieces off and get this cover removed so we can replace this gasket. I don't know why this is exactly. It has something to do with the computer apparently, but you're supposed to disconnect the positive terminal first on this Kia Sorento. On most cars, you disconnect the negative. The rule of thumb is never touch the positive when the negative is connected. But apparently they want you to do it the other way around, and so that's what I'm actually going to do. I get that out of the way, and then just to make sure it doesn't make connection again, I am going to remove the negative as well. First thing we're going to do is unplug some wires and hoses. We need to get these coil packs out of the way. There are little gray locks on the coil pack connectors. Apparently you just pull back on them and they undo. And then you push down on the tab and pull it apart. We also have a connector that goes to the high pressure fuel pump. With these types of connectors, quite frequently it helps to actually push in on the connector while you're trying to push on the release. If you don't push in on it, the release has a bunch of tension on it and it won't release. I am going to remove the ground and some of this other harness stuff. There are 3 bolts apparently that hold this wire loom in place. The next thing I'm going to do is remove the coil packs. Coil packs just pop out, just like so, easy peasy. I am going to keep these in order, but I don't think it matters. The next thing I'm going to remove is this breather hose. That is on there, good. A little bit of a wiggle and it pops right off. I'm going to take a rag and place it underneath this fitting and then crack the nut loose. I'm assuming there is going to be a little bit of high pressure fuel here. Okay, slowly loosen that so we don't make a big mess. All right, I'm going to put a glove on because I don't like getting gas on my hands. And you shouldn't either. All right, that comes off just like that. Now I am going to wipe up around here and then wait a few minutes before I actually use the impact gun because there are some gas fumes here and the impact gun could make sparks and ignite those fumes. All right, a few minutes has passed. I am now going to try to remove the fuel pump, the high pressure fuel pump. And now I am very carefully going to try to pull the pump out of the way without making a huge mess. We'll just make sure that there's nothing here that's going to fall. And then set it over here with the rag underneath it. The next thing I'm going to do is remove this hose clamp and remove this other breather off of the valve cover. I'm not sure what the difference between this one and the other one is. This one seems to go directly into the intake, and the other one goes into a different spot in the intake. Okay. I am not going to fight with this continually, so what I'm going to do is remove this bolt off of the charge pipe. And I'm actually going to remove this part of the charge pipe here to try to see what I need to remove in order to get at these bolts on this side. I'm hoping I don't have to remove a whole lot, but yeah, we'll do whatever we have to do. Kia does this really fun thing where they put little security things on the hose clamps. They do not want you removing these. I don't know how they're supposed to come off. I mean, I'm guessing they're not supposed to come off. There is something holding that hose clamp in place on the back side. I don't know what it is. All right, we have this charge pipe almost free. There are a couple of connectors on it, but it looks like I will just be able to fold it out of the way. There is a 10mm bolt holding the high pressure fuel line to the side of the engine. I'm guessing the camera can't see what I'm doing here very well, but we're just going to remove that. It is held on with a little bracket, and so once we remove this, hopefully we can get the fuel line out of the way. All right, there's the bolt. I'm going to remove this piece of the charge pipe just so that I can get down in here a little bit easier. Well, these things are supposed to be security hose clamps, but nothing that a pair of channel locks won't take care of. They came off quite easily. The camera will not be able to see this, but there is a nut down here on the high pressure fuel line. In order to make this a little bit easier, or maybe possible, I'm going to remove this bolt from the side of the intake manifold that holds on this, I don't know what it is. It's a electronic device, some sort of solenoid perhaps. Anyway, it holds this thing on to the side of the manifold. I'm going to remove this bolt, which will then allow me access, I think, will allow me access to the high pressure fuel nut. And then I should be able to, oh, there we go, easy peasy. So now hopefully I can pull the fuel line out of the way and remove the valve cover. Okay, high pressure fuel line is now out of the way. In order to get this clear and out of my way, I am going to remove this electrical connector here. Hopefully the camera can see this. Simply push in on the little metal tab and pull it off. There is also a hose on the back side of it. We're going to remove that. Okay, that's some sort of vacuum hose, and it was still holding a vacuum. Interesting. All right, another hose clamp to remove from here. Okay, it looks like there's probably two 10mm nuts or bolts holding this bracket on here, and it doesn't look like I have any choice but to remove it. So let's go. Okay, so this comes out of the way, and now I think there's one bolt that actually holds the bracket onto the engine, so holds these pipes and a bracket. So I removed the nut that holds one bracket to the bracket, and now I need to hold the bracket. And now I need to remove the bolt that holds the bracket to the engine. This is the one that I thought I was removing, but it's just so hard to see. I didn't know. I would still rather be working on this than a BMW, I tell you that much. Okay, so that bracket can now move out of the way. Let's hope that that means we can remove the valve cover. We do have a bracket over here, and it is somewhat catching, so instead of fighting with it, I am going to remove that. Looks like a 12mm. It is in fact a 12mm. Oh, almost dropped that bolt. This bracket comes off. Oh, I think we got it, folks. So the trick is to pull up on the backside first, apparently. There we go. We are free and clear. Don't drop bits down in there. You will regret it. That is the end of this video. I will be releasing another one detailing the assembly process. I hope you guys enjoyed or it was helpful. If so, please leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more nonsense, be sure to subscribe to my channel. This was basically a step-by-step disassembly or removal of the valve cover, but it was also my first time ever doing this, so I had to do some trickery with the editing. Maybe you guys will have noticed, but I actually did some stuff before I should have, like removing the valve cover bolts way in advance. If you follow the steps as I laid them out in the video and remove everything kind of in the order that I did, your life will be a little bit easier than mine. This whole thing took me about 6 hours start to finish, meaning the sway bar end links and the valve cover removal and reinstallation. So yeah, I'm not a professional automotive mechanic, but that is just to give you guys some sort of an idea on how long this might take you. It did take me probably about an hour of that for the sway bar end links, so keep that in mind. That is going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time.